Okay, let's just let's just jump right into this because I can't believe I have to re-record it. But yeah, let's try to get through 1, 2, and 3 because I think we still have 5 and 6 to go through. I know. Oh my god. I can't believe I'm such a failure and I have to re-record some of these. Anyway, let's jump into it.
Hey everyone, we are Millennial Money on a brand new channel here to talk about everything related to Millennial Money. What's up, guys?
This is so cool. Oh, wait, there it is. Just loaded for me.
Yeah, I was just
Nice.
doing that as well. This is
It only
amazing.
took us 3 years to finally do this.
I know.
It's
This
so
is so much
funny.
fun.
It's
This
so
is
funny
the
because
first
people
time,
think
too,
we're
I've
like
been live.
rivals, right? But we've known each other for a while now, so it's kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, how did this all come together? I think it was Vegas, right? Like us just catching up in Vegas. I think Graham and I going on a trip to Vegas. What?
Jeremy's
I
house.
think even Jeremy's
Yeah.
house. That's it.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Holy crap! I met you guys when I had like, must have been like 100,000 subscribers, and you guys were already like in the million mark, and I was like, dude, this is crazy. And Jeremy, yeah, you invited me on Instagram. This was like
Yeah.
3 years ago. He's like, dude, I saw your YouTube. It's popping. It's pretty cool. Like, you want to come down to my house? Then I met everybody, Nate O'Brien, you guys. That was so cool.
Yeah, I always like to keep an eye out for talent, and like I saw your channel, and you were just so different, and with the magic and everything, I was like, oh, he's gonna blow up. I just know it. I'm like, we gotta get together with him, and
That
yeah,
was so
man,
cool. Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
So
just
it's
your
so cool to be
thumbnails,
here.
your thumbnails and videos, your editing was incredible. I remember watching your channel and being like, wow, I got to step up the editing because yours is so good. I'm like, if I need to stand out in this space and continue doing well,
Yeah.
I got to up the
Dude,
editing.
Yeah, and it's crazy because people think we're like competitors, but this space is so big. It's just like there's so much room for everybody, and we all work together. So this is so cool to be able to do this. And I don't even know what our format is. Like, we don't even know what the topics we're going to talk about. But if you guys have anything for us, let us know. We kind of have a general format, but what do we want to start it off with?
We got Robin Hood in Congress tomorrow with Deets effing value.
AKA,
This is what he needs. Right
Yeah.
here.
Dude.
That's
Oh,
insane.
man.
Is he confirmed to be there tomorrow? Is
Yes,
any of this going to be
yeah.
recorded?
Oh yeah, it's all gonna be live. So all of the events gonna be live tomorrow. It starts at 9 a.m. East. I'm sorry, 9 a.m. Pacific time, and basically you've got Deep Effing Value, the guy from Wall Street Bets, essentially, who posted the bullish theses on GameStop. He's the guy who also has a YouTube channel, Roaring Kitty. He's going to be testifying, basically, probably at the same table, 6 feet apart, with the CEO of Robinhood. Melvin Capital's founder is going to be there. You've got Citadel's going to be there. And they're just going to get grilled by Congress.
We've never seen Deep F and Value and Vlad in the same room, so there may be one less person than we think.
Imagine if Vlad shows up with the King shirt
Dude.
and they just swap places.
For anybody who's not familiar with this story, it's like Vlad, the CEO of Robinhood, and this guy Deep F and Value, who was like one of the big Reddit Wall Street Bets guys. They look like doppelgangers. Like, they look like twins. Vlad, the CEO of Robinhood, and this guy.
100%.
Sorry, my bad.
I really do.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull it up. I've got a picture here somewhere of it. It's too perfect. You just need Vlad to leave the room and come back with a little headband on. And
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
The resemblance is uncanny. I mean, it's really just like, it's the same person. Let's be real. If they were split at birth, I would believe it.
So, Jeremy, I think you didn't talk to Vlad, right? Like, you were the only, I think you haven't talked to Robinhood at all.
Yeah,
But-
I haven't talked to Robin Hood at all. No.
So we've talked to this guy, and he was super cool. And I don't know, do we differ in opinion as far as like what we think happened? I feel like we're all pretty much on the same page as far as,
There's a bit of a suspicion of why they raised the limits like that last minute. There's a bit of
Right.
I get the reason why, but
Right.
I believe it, but there's a bit of a suspicion of at what point was that excessive?
And also, for some reason, this, and I'm an idiot for not mentioning this to him, but one of the questions I had was, how is it that Melvin or Citadel, the
It's
guy
crazy
for
how
Citadel and
similar
Citadel
they look.
Securities, that's the same CEO. Oh my God, I just saw this. So Citadel Securities and the Citadel CEO, they're the same person. And yet those two companies are not supposed to talk to each other. So how does that work when you literally have one guy that's running both of those corporations, and yet the SEC prohibits them from speaking to one another? How are you supposed to prevent me from talking to me? I don't understand.
It's a disaster, man. It's
That is
you know
confusing.
they're all in bed with each other. Like I believe that maybe Robinhood not as much. I think they
Right.
were stuck between a rock and a hard place.
I think
But
so
come
too.
on, this Citadel Melvin crap. They know what they're doing, man. How are we gonna squash this? How do we put an end to this as soon as possible? You know, like I mean, I think everybody was looking at it like, okay, there's a really good chance GameStop's not gonna stay at 400 forever, right?
Right.
But you know, they're looking at it from this point of view of we gotta make the bleeding stop ASAP. Otherwise, this multi-billion-dollar investment we just made is also going down the toilet. You know?
I really liked your video that you released today about going through that letter that Melvin put out about how the guy's like humanizing himself, and he's like, you know, I was born and you know, I have a family, and it's just like, yeah, you're not relatable.
No.
I'm
Did you
sorry.
see him try to suggest that cyberbullying was the reason that
Oh, that was
Melvin got targeted?
ridiculous. Yeah.
Wait, explain this. I've been out of the internet today. I've been editing. So what's going on?
So basically, Melvin Capital released this letter. I've actually got it right here. I'll pull up the section really quick. This is crazy. So this is a letter from the CEO of Melvin, and let's see here. If I jump on over here, it's a little small, so I'll try to make this a little bigger here. Okay, but I don't know how. Oh wait, I'll just do. We got to figure out the buttons while we do this. There we go. Okay, so look at this. All right. So this is his basically letter, and this is going to be his testimony tomorrow. And what he says is, I also want to. This is one part here. I don't know where the druid. He makes the slander comment, but hold on, let me find it really quick because it's particularly that cyberbullying part. Oh, there it is on the second part. Okay, yeah, here. In January 2021, a group on Reddit began to make posts about Melvin's specific investments. They took information contained in Melvin's SEC filings and encouraged others to trade in the opposite direction. Many of these posts were laced with anti-Semitic slurs directed at me and others. The post said things like, "It's very clear we need a second Holocaust. The Jews can't keep getting away with this." Others sent similarly profane and racist text messages. So really, you've got the Melvin Capital CEO trying to almost turn around what's happening here onto saying like, oh, he's the victim over at Melvin for their failed short.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's interesting because I notice a lot of individuals that like don't build a personal brand, don't have a connection with an audience or anything like that. I just noticed like they run into a lot of trouble. Like this guy, you never hear of him. You hear he might be rich, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, you know, attack. It's like if you notice the difference between like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, right? Elon Musk has like cultivated a diehard audience and has a lot of like people that it's almost like a cult like following. And so Elon Musk can almost do anything and people kind of have his back. Bezos, on the other hand, hasn't focused on his personal brand at all, right? And anytime Bezos does anything, he is attacked immediately. Same thing with Bill Gates and some of the others that are up there, right? So it's an interesting time we're going through. The ones that have really strong personal brands, they don't get it. Even if they make a mistake, people have their back. If you don't, you know, you're open for a lot of attack.
That's true. Elon can say anything he wants on Twitter and get away with it at this point, and people love it. Anything he says, people are tweeting it. They love it. They're a fan of it. It makes sense, and it's easy to see like a billionaire like Melvin Capital as being bad, like a bad guy, and then you're the good guy on the other side, just trying to make some money.
But speaking of Elon, I feel like crypto is no longer proof of work. It's like proof of Elon now.
Oh my gosh!
all it is.
Well, like you said, or like Elon said, it was inevitable. What do you think led to that? Was it Bitcoin? The investment into Bitcoin? Was it Dogecoin? What was it? It could
I don't know. I mentioned it on my videos. I said something like that It's like whenever he put anything crypto related on his Twitter, it triggered short squeezes of Bitcoin to the tune of $1.2 billion. And it's like it's almost like it was always Wall Street against Elon. It was always the short sellers versus Elon. And it seems like anytime he does this kind of stuff, it's not so much of a publicity stunt. It's almost like he knows how much influence his words have.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so he could trigger so many of these short squeezes and make so much money and front run everything that he says and invest ahead of time before he does it, knowing how much he's going to hurt the people that hate him so much. And so it's like, in retrospect, maybe it's inevitable that by going against him, you're going to lose money. So, I mean, that's another, I don't know if I'm looking way too, like, reading way too much between the lines, but
I don't know if he puts that much thought into it. I wouldn't be surprised if he's just tweeting whatever comes to mind that makes no sense at all. And
oh,
everyone
he's a
replies to it.
huge internet troll for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. He knows what he's doing.
Can you even
Yeah.
short crypto right now? Or
You can, I believe. I've never shorted it myself, but you
Okay.
can. Yeah.
because if not, like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's like the next big invention, like somehow inverse, like betting against, different cryptos out there.
Right. Well, we got Wall Street bets to come to the rescue. So.
Somebody's gonna figure it out.
Well, that'll be interesting because then it could open up the options market too, in theory, and you get all these derivatives that could come out. But I actually kind of have to agree with what you're saying, Andre. I mean, Elon's been going on this sort of crypto push heavy since
sure.
January, and they invested probably right at the beginning of January, definitely in
Yeah.
January, pretty early in January.
Well, you can tell when it wasn't because he had that interaction with Michael Saylor on Twitter. And
Yeah.
he's another billionaire. So he's like, hey, hypothetically, how do I buy $1 billion? Is that even possible? And Michael Saylor responds to him like, yeah, it's possible. I did it.
Let's talk.
Let me show you how I did it. So if you followed that conversation, the writing was on the wall. And I think you're right. I think it was in January. I mean, that was like one of the biggest tales.
Dude,
So
can
we
you
gotta have
imagine?
notifications turned on for Elon's tweets, basically.
Say again?
We gotta have notifications turned on for Elon's tweets.
I do. I
Can
wake
you
up and I'm
imagine?
like, come on, bro.
Can you imagine if there were? Can you imagine if there were call options on like Bitcoin or Ethereum? Can you imagine the options market for cryptos would be crazy?
Yeah, that would be insane. I mean, a lot of the financial institutions think that they're going to be able to tame Bitcoin by integrating it in traditional finance, but I don't know if I'm smart enough to be able to like vocalize exactly how. But by integrating it into like the standard financial system, it exposes it to all these derivatives and all these complex financial instruments that I don't even know how that stuff works, like the inside and outs of that they think that they can somewhat control the price and keep it at bay. But I don't know.
I feel like that's gonna make it so much more volatile. You start throwing
No,
on
no, it's gonna make it way more stable because all this money is gonna enter the space, and now it's like, just like it's but it's gonna have less volatility, but also less upside.
I got it. Here we
Oh,
go.
you found it, yeah.
So, if you want to do your shareholders a favor, so Elon tweets Bitcoin on this woman's bum, and then and this is December 20th. If you want to do your shareholders a $100 billion favor, convert the Tesla balance sheet from USD to BTC, Bitcoin. Other firms on the S&P 500 would follow your lead, and in time, it would grow to become a $1 trillion favor. Elon Musk, shortly thereafter, are such large transactions even possible? Reply, yes, I've purchased over 1.3 billion in Bitcoin in the past few months and would be happy to share my playbook with you offline from one rocket scientist to another.
Oh,
I mean, that was December last year.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it was super obvious that something would happen.
That's crazy.
Andre,
Tell
I know,
What's up?
hey, I know you follow cryptos heavy. Back in the day, several years ago, it was like there was a lot of talk about like manipulation, maybe in Bitcoin price and other cryptos. Like, do you see that as being still a thing nowadays? What's your perspective on like manipulation in the crypto market?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that as we move forward, so like now that Elon's entered, and I do think that this year we'll maybe see one or two more companies enter. and actually put it on their balance sheet. Like we had Apple announce it and we had MasterCard, but they didn't really like get into Bitcoin. They just integrated it. They didn't put it on their balance sheet. But I do think companies will put it on their balance sheet. And once we have over $1 trillion market cap and like higher than that, I think the price is going to be a lot harder to manipulate. So the 90% drops that we're used to seeing, I don't think that we'll see them as much. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's it's impossible and that won't happen. But if we do retract, it will probably drop to like 25, 30,000 range, and that would be like Bitcoin crashed. And I don't know if you guys have like seen that funny like meme where it's like this dude, he's just like, you don't want to buy Bitcoin because it always crashes. Look, and then he like shows this price graph of it going up. He's like, this one time Bitcoin went to $100 and then it crashed back down to 20. And then this other time it went back to $1,000 and then it crashed to $300. And it just keeps doing that upwards. So like that's what we're gonna keep doing, but not like 90% crashes like before. I don't think.
Graham, I want to hear your Bitcoin position. You've recently started increasing a little bit. Tell us a little
Yeah,
more.
so I bought more. See, the thing is, I've been buying so often that I basically have forgotten over the last like week and a half. I bought a little bit more. I think it was when it dipped down I think it was the low 40s. And then earlier today, I bought in, I think it was like 48-ish. And I'm just throwing like 5 grand at a time, just, every now and then. Yeah, it was on Monday because the stock market was closed. And I'm like, I want to buy something. So it was Bitcoin.
The way you said it is so casual. Throw 5 grand as you do.
Yeah. I also bought a little more Ethereum. I think it was also about 5 or 6 grand. A three Ethereum.
So how many Ethereums do you have so far?
35-ish.
35. Okay, so about 70 grand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a limit on the
Jeremy-
amount of Ethereum that will ever be mined, or no?
No, there's no limit, but I should do more research about Ethereum, but from what I understand, they're going to introduce burning to it. So they're going to start burning it through somehow. Like I don't know the exact process of it. I have to do more research. But like
Doesn't sound good.
No, it's good. It's going to be more deflationary, right? So
But somebody gets burned when things burn.
It's like, you know what? It's like Chanel going and burning the handbags they don't sell.
Yeah, exactly.
Why?
What if you're a Chanel hodler, you're going to, make some money.
It's in the back market.
So somebody asked a really good question. What's like your guys' number one stock conviction? Jeremy, you're the best person to ask this.
Oh, I was gonna say let's start with Kevin and make our way around, but okay.
It's a little
Number
hard
one
and
stock
confusing.
conviction. Oh, that's so hard in the entire stock market.
Yeah, like okay, so let's say somebody was like, all right, Jeremy, you have $1,000. Like, have one stock to put that money into. What do you do?
Oh shoot, you know where I'm
Tesla.
probably going with this Planet 13.
Is it really?
Wow.
Yeah,
not Tesla?
no, probably not Tesla. Although I love Tesla. Probably the Planet long term. But the safest stock I feel like right now is Walgreens, WBA. Risk reward standpoint, but yeah, the Planet just has such big opportunity long term. So,
I have one. Okay. Wow.
what about you? What about you guys?
I like Google. I think obviously run YouTube now, but that's the one stock where I feel like if you're just gonna buy it and hold on to it for 10 or 20 years, I like it a lot. If we're not talking index funds here, if we're talking like you got to get a specific stock, I love Google. I'm a huge fan.
What would you pick, an index fund or Google, if you could pick one or the other?
Probably the index fund because Google's within it. So like you're getting a percentage of Google within the index fund, just the S&P 500.
That's fair.
Best of
And then,
both.
what's yours, Kevin?
CCIV.
SNDL.
I saw your video on that. It was this morning. Was it? No, was it yesterday where you were up like 700,000?
Yeah.
Yesterday?
Yeah. It's
What?
I wouldn't choose CCIV as if I could only pick one stock because there is that downside risk. Like if I could only pick one thing, it's a boring answer, but it has to be Tesla because it has the mix of growth, not as much as if it were still, a tenth the size, obviously, but it still has, to me, it hasn't blossomed into the Amazon, Apple, Google yet, but it has the safety of those.
Mm.
Certainly for the next 2 decades. So it'd have to be that. Obviously, like the CCIV, that's been wonderful. But the EV hype, you almost it's just so many of these EVs go flying, and there's some of them that don't, like the SPACs, the commercial vehicle SPACs. Some of them they get announced and they sit flat forever.
Right.
But yeah, the fact that we don't really have a Tesla competitor yet, like a standalone competitor. You go to China, you got NIO and XPeng. Yeah, CCIV was certainly is a good alternative.
Are you worried about valuations right now in EVs?
Mhm. Yeah, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this too. But yeah, valuations on EVs are pulling forward a lot, right? You're pricing already in the tax credits that are coming. The fact that we're converting to all electric, it's just going to be a game of market share in terms of who's going to get the biggest pie, basically slice of the pie, and the earnings will get justified. But yeah, the more these prices run, the more you have to go out in years, and that's when it becomes riskier. It used to be I could look at Tesla and go, oh, this makes sense 18 months from now. Now, to make sense of Tesla's price, you have to go, 4 or 5 years out. And so it becomes, the more you stretch out, the more risk you do take on.
Right.
Hey,
That's interesting.
before we get Andre, we still need your stock pick, but it was interesting. I was in like a Tesla chat room last night on Clubhouse, and I felt like I was a Tesla bear in there. Like I kept having to talk down Tesla to like these, Tesla super like bullish people, and I'm like, holy smokes, man! I freaking sound like I'm a short seller right now because they're just so incredibly bullish on Tesla's going to 5 trillion and they're going to
Dude, you
dominate the
all this
world.
though. Like, remember when we made a few videos together about it, and I even back then I was skeptical. I was like, I feel like Tesla got away from me, and it was like $400 at the time before all the splits, and I was like, dude, man, I really wanted to buy some, but I never did. My favorite stock though is Apple, hands down. That's my number one. You can't go wrong
Here's
with that.
the
What's
bomb
up?
that dropped today with Sandy
Dude,
Munro.
I know, I saw that. So I really think that's around the corner. So we're gonna get an EV from Apple. I don't know when, but definitely sometime in the
I
next 5
see
years.
that happening. I think Apple is going to do an EV, and I'd like Google to do an EV.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
should
it'll be
pull
like
that clip up in case anybody hasn't seen it. The basically,
he's an
Doing
engineer, right? He's the same dude that talked to Elon
yes,
about. Yeah, that video went viral.
it's true. He's got like what? I think that video is almost 2 million views or something like that.
Yeah, who is he? I know he's an engineer, but I'm not familiar with him.
So basically, what he does is he does consulting for companies who want to manufacture vehicles or planes better, what materials to use, how to ramp their production, how to do things more efficiently, how to save money in production. Basically, think about it this way: if you're going to produce 50,000 cars, you invest the money to know how to do car number one perfectly. So when you put it on the factory line, you're copy and pasting with the most efficiency possible. And you hire multiple of these consultants. And they
Hmm.
kind of, here, I'll play the clip. I think this should be right at the correct time. Let's give this a quick listen here.
Out there and starve to death. They'll never understand the luxury car market or pickup trucks. Wow, that was a prediction. Yeah. Good job.
Does Apple have a chance?
No comment.
I love the mouth organ.
I can't talk about that. So there we are. Next.
Wow.
You know he's contractually obligated not to say it. He's under NDA right there. He's like, I wasn't at their factory a week ago.
It almost looks like you slow down. Like as soon as you ask them the question, you pause it, play it at half speed, and then come back to normal.
And the sound effect.
That's
Someone's
Yeah.
gotta get that together.
that's incredibly, I feel like, bullish news for Tesla. If Apple's really legit trying to get in the game, because if Apple's going to try to put in all that work, there has to be something ridiculously big there. And then
Right.
here's another thing, and this was what I was thinking, because then I talked to all those guys about Tesla last night, and they're all like ridiculously bullish. And so I was thinking about it, and I was like, maybe the market knows some things that we don't know, right? And like I know some people at Tesla, and I never want to get into specifics on what they're working on and things like that, but
Yes, you
they
do.
tell me they have a lot, coming. Let's just put it that way over the next couple years. And I'm like, if stuff like that could leak to me, just like a little guy, right? Like stuff has to be leaking to Kathy Wood and some of these other individuals in big
100%.
funds on
Yeah.
and so maybe there are products and services coming down the pike for Tesla that we aren't even thinking about right now. And the big funds know it, and so they're buying and buying and buying because they're like, there's a lot bigger stuff coming than what's actually out there right now for us to see.
That's super true. Yeah, I do think that happens a lot. Would that be considered illegal? That would be illegal, right? To share that info, or is that not? Like, to what
Kinda.
extent?
It is. I try to never to go there just in case, but I mean, it's usually the most illegal thing is when you know specific numbers. Like if you know like quarterly data is leaked to you on financials, and then you trade based upon that, that's illegal. Leaking of a potential product or service in the future,
Right.
not really, because it can get around to a lot of different companies because a lot of these companies work on different projects and different
Right.
things. Um, and so sometimes it can just it can leak out there. And I feel like at Tesla things leak very easily. I feel like Apple's much more sealed up, but at a company like Tesla, I feel like it's gotta just leak all over the place. So
I gotta ask you guys. I want to hear from each of you. What do y'all think? Because Sandy Munro brought this up too. He almost and we had a limited amount of time, so I couldn't ask all the questions I wanted to. But he spent a good chunk of the time talking about the eVTOLs, right? The electric vertical takeoff and landing. They don't like calling them drones, but basically think of a drone with the propellers and you ride around in them, right? So instead of cars, these things. And he seemed to think that robo taxis are almost like a transitionary moment in the future of transportation, that we'll have robo taxis though.
That's interesting. I wonder if they're gonna go like the helicopter route or the quadcopter drone route.
Self-driving cars and all that, but that'll actually be old news quickly as it even goes mainstream, and people are going to shift into these eVTOLs or whatever, and kind of implied that Tesla's probably already working on one. What do you guys think about these?
Huh. That's cool. I don't even know from a regulatory standpoint, like technology-wise, I guess that's something Elon would probably do, but like from a regulatory standpoint, flying cars, kind of like, is that what we're talking about? Sort
No,
of.
EV tolls, not a flying car.
yeah, it's like
Tolls.
a big drone that carries humans around essentially.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd have to see it. Like,
I would be
That would
such a fan of that, but yeah, I can't see that being a safe thing to do anytime soon.
yeah, that's
Maybe
like
10 years
10,
from now.
20 years out, 10, 20
Right.
years minimum. But having said that, I do think that with things like maybe Ethereum or maybe cryptos like, and again, this is not like a buy signal, but like IOTA, which is like the Internet of Things crypto, which is like machine to machine payments. I don't know if you guys are like familiar with those. That's gonna be so. Oh, okay, there it is.
That's
That
cool.
does look cool.
Yeah, so it is kind of like a flying car, but not
It
like,
is
I
like
don't
the
know.
quadcopter,
Imagine guys just
but
getting
like
in that.
probably
We just
8
show up at like the Bellagio fountains
or
in one of those,
16.
just like land.
Yeah. We're gonna be the guys that like, well, back in my day, we used to drive the places. I would never get in on one of those, dude. Oh,
They drive themselves. Like you would just get in it, type in your GPS destination, and it will just whiz off. And they'll all communicate with each other. So I have a feeling actually, at one point those would be safer than self-driving cars. They will all communicate with each other. They're all going to be on one network. They'll know when they get too close to one another. I think that would be safer.
It's actually a good point. I mean, that's another thing Sandy was talking about. He's like, look, with self-driving cars, you're 2 feet away from other cars.
Right.
Imagine when you have a third dimension.
What about
and
air
you're,
traffic control?
1,000 feet apart from other flying
I
vehicles.
mean, I'm not an engineer, but like even now, though, airplanes crash into each other. I mean, it's a very rare occurrence, but airplanes are not that common, and they still have issues with what like directing these flights, and they have mix-ups, and they have all these different things that happen. So I don't know. Like we haven't even solved it on an airline industry basis, let alone on these drones when you're going to have thousands more than airplanes in the sky. So I don't know how that would all play in together.
I've seen what's happened with drone tech in general, just in the past like 10 years, and it's sick. I mean, I'm sure you guys have some of the DJI drones, right? Like those are ridiculous, and obviously those aren't carrying humans in them yet, right? But like how well those things can fly, even in like let's say windy conditions, and how they know like, oh, I have to correct myself. Like that technology is sick, and that type of stuff could be applied, I think, to this market long term. It's just obviously you have to make them a lot stronger and even safer because you're actually carrying humans. But I'm like when I watch that technology, I'm like, it's artificial intelligence, just like high level flying. It's incredible.
Sure.
You know, could be a good comparison because the concern is so valid, Andre. But consider a comparison here on the ground. Take a look at this. So this is the Amazon robots. It's kind of worth these guys. You know, I mean, they're going super slow, but these guys they don't crash into each other. They're all automated, and I mean, this place it looks like a disaster, but it works. I mean, look how close those guys. They're like inches from each other. That's freaking nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know, like and this is like probably 5-year-old technology at this point. And I wonder what that video
Right.
is. You know, this.
Right. Well, speaking of AI, though, like, are there any stocks out there in the stock market that even are like, I mean, besides maybe Boston Dynamics, but that's like, is there anything out there that's robotics or AI based that's like at the cutting edge of that stuff? Are you guys familiar with any?
I'm not.
Yeah,
Game industries and game engines. They're using AIs for the games they're making and to simulate a lot of the graphics they're doing. So, Unity, ticker symbol U, is a good stock to look into if you want to see who's playing and developing with AI.
Not either.
I mean, it's funny. Like, there aren't that many like direct companies in industries that are like big, but like all the big tech are all working on AI things and are already using AI in a lot of different things, like in our lives, and we don't even realize it. Like Amazon Web Services,
Right.
Facebook, like Google, like all these big companies are actually using it. It's just people don't realize it. Nvidia is probably the closest thing to a direct investment on artificial intelligence and some of those
Jeremy's
things.
right about that.
Obviously,
Right.
Tesla as well. Tesla,
Is
there's
Nvidia because of the graphics cards, but who else also uses the graphics cards? Game developers and people developing and indie game developers. It's a huge market for AI development. If anyone's working on AI or needs an AI to do something and there's one that doesn't exist, if anyone's going to make one, it's probably going to be a game developer trying to make a new one.
Oh, go ahead. I was going
No, I
to
was
say
just
Tesla. No, go ahead.
No, you first.
No, I was gonna say, so is Boston Dynamics still owned by, I forget that bank. It's a Japanese bank. You guys familiar with what I'm talking about?
I thought
Or,
Boston Dynamics got sold to Google. No.
oh,
Maybe
you're
I'm
right. It
mistaken.
did. It did. It did. It did. It did.
Okay.
I was originally thinking of something else. Yeah, they were owned by a bank. I forget the bank name though. But yeah. So I mean, Boston Dynamics. I don't know. Like, is there anybody working on like the singularity though? Like, I mean, probably Google. I guess you're right. Like, just probably they have so much data on that stuff.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeremy, aren't you into iRobot?
I
SoftBank.
used to.
Thank you,
Yeah.
SoftBank.
Yeah, I used to be an iRobot, but not anymore. And yeah, I mean, as far as their robots go, I mean, they pretty much just make cleaning ones nowadays. They used to have a different department that made like robots for like warfare and things like that, and they could like go like take apart a bomb and do all types of cool stuff. But yeah, nowadays they just pretty much it's what makes money, and Roombas make money, so they pretty much just focus on that now. But they actually have a new product coming out that mows your lawn. So if you got a big lawn,
Like that. Jeremy, Bitcoin. Are you in it? Are you in crypto?
only an MSTR, which owns a bunch of Bitcoin, but not directly invested in actual Bitcoin.
Why?
Well, I already like have some exposure there, so. But I know, and Graham's always trying to talk me into buying Bitcoin, and I probably will at some point in time. I don't know. I'm just gonna let it go to like 1 million a coin, and then I'm gonna go all in, and we'll see what happens.
Jeremy, just like you were trying to convince me to move to Vegas, and I finally did. I've been trying to convince you just buy some actual Bitcoin.
Okay.
Like on Robinhood.
What my question is, what triggered like Graham at least? What made you finally start to like see it for what it is? Like, was there any event that happened that you were like, oh well, like now I get it more? Was there any like catalyst that made you more
Yeah.
accepting?
Once it hit 20K again, I started looking into it. Really, I mean, it hit 20K, and I started looking into it more. And the honest answer is, the more I researched it, the more I became a fan of it. And I think in the past, I was researching it at the peak of the bubble phase, and like everything about it, going from 1,000 to really 20,000, was just this mania of making as much money as possible. And so, anytime I really was trying to dig deeper and research it, a lot of it was just hype, 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 and I couldn't distinguish between what was hype and what was like fundamental value of it. So as it was going up, I had fun buying and trading it between like the 16 and $18,000 range, bought into it, sold it really quick. It was fun. But when it crashed back down, it was like, all right, now it kind of makes, now it's stabilizing again. And my biggest regret, it was at 3,300. I was like, okay, when it hits 3, then I'm going to buy like 5 of them. And it never hit 3.
Right.
So once it hit 20 again, I started looking into it. And the more I looked into it objectively, without all like the craziness around it, because really from like 9 to 20, it was so silent. Like really no one was talking about it, but it was creeping up in price.
So you haven't released our podcast that we did yet, right?
No.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that we talked a lot about crypto there. But I actually wanted to ask Kevin, what was your kind of moment where you were like, I need to get in on this?
Yeah, it started as a joke. It was on January 5th. The total joke. It was live stream. It was like a 10-hour live stream on the Georgia election. The Needles. And I don't know why, but a conversation broke out about crypto, and I'm like, oh, I should just buy some. And I had money in Robinhood, and I'm like, margin, no problem. Boom, swipe up, and I just bought 3 Bitcoin. It really started as a total joke, and then we were, joking about how I did it on Robinhood and so on. It was just so accessible at that moment, and then I'm like, oh damn. Now I got 100 grand in Bitcoin. I should probably understand what I just got myself into. And then I really converged with what Graham said. And really and this is actually, it's one of my theses for Bitcoin, is that a lot of people, I think, are going to refuse to get educated on Bitcoin until cryptocurrency and blockchain gets shoved down their throat. When they go to the bank in 5 or 10 years, maybe 5.
Because that's what it took for Kevin to accept
when they
it.
go to the bank and they said, okay, do you want to open a blockchain-based bank account or do you want to open a USD-based bank account? People are going to go, what the F did you just ask me? Well, let me bottom line it for you. You can put your cash into this stable coin, like a JP Morgan stable coin, and we'll pay you 2% interest. Or you can put your money into the USD-based account and we'll pay you no interest. And all of a sudden, the world's going to go, oh, damn, I better learn a thing or two about blockchain. and that's going to lead to people adopting Bitcoin more.
Why would one pay higher interest than another? Where's the money coming from?
Yeah. Andre.
Say again?
Where would the money come from? Let's say their stablecoin pays 2%, USD pays 1%. Where does that extra difference come from?
I'm assuming I guess it depends on their business model, but I'm assuming in the loans, right? Depending on the loans that they, at what interest rates they're loaning out. And I'm assuming that they're going to have different underwriting models than they do today. So they'll probably have more risk-based underwriting models. So it's like, well, you look like a riskier customer. So we're going to give it to you at a 7% interest rate, which is kind of what BlockFi is doing. That's what they're literally, they're kind of giving uncollateralized loans to pretty much anybody. And, it doesn't take much to qualify for it. And
they're different than USD. And with something like BlockFi, I feel like that's just the cost of customer acquisition. It's
Sure. The reason that I think crypto generally pays out more is because there is so much more money in that space right now. And because they are competing with the traditional banking system, they have a lot more incentive to pay out a lot more because they're trying to get, lure customers onto their platforms.
Is it
So
sustainable though?
say again?
Is that sustainable? Because it just seems like marketing. Like that's a big
No,
marketing.
oh, for sure. It's not like super sustainable, when we're talking 10 years out, which is why I said on BlockFi, I don't think they're going to have 8.6% interest forever. Once they get more customers on board and once, they actually become a real player, and that's why Charles Schwab and Citibank, whatever, like they can get away with giving us 0.1% interest rates because everybody else is doing it too, so who cares? But when you have these fintech startups with these, you know, crazy private equity valuations, they can just print money basically and give it all and pass it all to customers. So at some point, we'll hit some inflection point where it's like, all right, cool, like we can't be taking these kinds of risks once they reach a certain size. And then I'm sure that those interest rates will come down, but they'll still be probably higher. I think Coinbase just announced their Ethereum staking thing where they're going to give 7.5 or 7% on your Ethereum. So that's kind of cool too. Staking is like a whole nother thing where it's like this is like proof of stake, not proof of work. So the way that like blockchain works is like you can either secure the network by, the hash rate and all the hash power of all the computers. So that's proof of work, which is very wasteful. That's the critique against it. And then you have the other side of it, which is like proof of stake, which is basically where you're locking up funds in order to be, I forget what the node is the name for it, but it's like a beacon or something. And where by having a certain amount of money locked into it, you now become an entity that verifies transactions with like the amount of money that you have. And I think that you need 32 Ethereum to lock it in. And I don't know like the length of time that it's required to lock it in, but whatever it is, they're going to pay you 7 point something% interest, which is super cool. I definitely want to get in on that.
I would do that just to try it out.
I would definitely try it out. Yeah. It's just like sometimes people comment on my channel, they're like, oh, this has officially become a crypto channel. And I'm just like, no, I'm not. It's just like it's super relevant right now. So I'm making a lot of these videos because I've been so passionate about crypto for so long, but I've been so terrified about talking about it on my channel just because like before this year, if you mentioned Bitcoin, it was like, we lost another one. Like, it's a scam or whatever. And I'm just like, I don't want to talk about it. But if it's okay for Elon to talk about it, then it's like, all right, it's like becoming normalized. And as long as it's staying relevant, I want to make content about it, but I don't want to become a crypto channel either. I just want, while it's relevant.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons, Graham, you can get really this potential higher rate on an option like that is you almost eliminate the need for banking, and there's no, you're not going through the Federal Reserve to process like a check transfer, and the costs, the labor involved to verify stuff is so much lower. And at least right now, there's so much demand by institutions for like Bitcoin that they almost need to borrow money overnight. It's like, okay, I need a 48-hour loan of 2 million Bitcoin or something insane. And I think they're just paying through the nose to service it right now. And that's why we're seeing these crazy rates flow through right now. But I agree with Andre, I think. It's not
That's true.
Super low.
Even transferring money now between the traditional banking systems insanely expensive, and they charge crazy percents. So like there are so many upfront costs that are eliminated with all this like digital currencies that are going on right now that you can literally pass it all on to the customer and be like, just you guys keep it, it's fine.
Yeah, some people even think that commercial banks could completely disappear. I know that a lot of these things really go down into that deep direction though of like the future of blockchain. Jeremy, I don't think you believe it though. I think you're the most skeptical out of all of us. Tell us why.
I don't know about the most skeptical. I've become a bigger believer, I would say, over the past like 3-6 months. I've been speaking to a lot of people who know a lot more about cryptos and those sorts of things than me, and I can tell you they're all very, very big believers in Ethereum. They all are convinced like Ethereum's going to be able to do like most of the stuff you need, I guess, you know what I mean? And all of them believe in Bitcoin as a store of currency. And I mean, if for me to put some money in MSTR, which is a Bitcoin play, like I have to believe in it to a certain extent, right? So I've begun to get hey, can we not make so much noise? I'm sorry, guys. The kids are going wild. Kevin, how do you not have the kids in the room, man? You have it good. I got to deal with these kids.
2 1,000-pound doors.
I need that.
They can't open them.
You're probably not kidding.
No, I'm not. No, they came on freight. They're like this big.
No way.
Solid layers. It's like 8 layers of different woods to reduce sound. Kids could be screaming out there right now. I wouldn't
Yeah,
know.
you have the most impressive studio setup I've ever seen. You close that door, and it's like airtight in there too. So like your ears have to pop when you go in there. It's incredible.
Kevin's got CNN on tap. Like he's just got like a broadcast studio. You should.
Kevin, can you turn around your screen, or is that not possible for us to? Because I don't think people have really seen what it. If it's not possible, it's okay. But I mean, it is crazy. If
It
people
looks
haven't
like
seen.
a spaceship from the front, like with all the knobs and dials, and it's incredible. The monitors everywhere.
It's a little messy right now. I think I can. Hold on. So it's just, but I have to use my phone to do it, which is kind of.
Oh, this is-
I'm sure.
The technology.
Exactly.
What?
Hold on. Yeah. And tell you, this is gonna look a little funny because this is plugged into an HDMI. But basically, hold on a sec. There we go. So there's my computer. I got three kind of like switcher thingies right here. Here's one. And then I got the keyboard in front of me. I got an iPad right there, which is where I'm watching you guys. Laptop, cameras, lights, and stuff.
Wow.
Here. So, I don't know. It's
Dude, that's
oh yeah, and the TV's right there, so I can watch TV. So I pretty much all I need is a toilet under my butt, and
That's insane. That's so cool. If I turned the camera around, you would just see like a plate of tacos and rice. So,
Wow. That's getting cold, Andre. What the heck, man?
I know Corey made me food, and I was just like, oh, we gotta talk.
We could turn this into a mukbang. Just all of us turn this into
Explain what that is. I don't know if everybody knows what mukbang is.
all just eating at the same time.
Yeah.
We're trying to get sponsors. We need to keep it clean, guys. So let's not go anywhere.
Video sponsored, guys, by the like button. If you're watching this right now and you haven't already hit the like button, just do it. And subscribe. Because I think we're at 6,200 subscribers already. So if you're watching this live, just go and tap that subscribe button. It's totally free. It takes you a second, and we're going to get to 10,000 subscribers. If we get to 10K from this, that would be incredible. So tell all of your friends right now. Post it on Instagram. We got to get to 10K.
Graham's our hype man.
Hey, if we get 100,000 subscribers on this channel by this time next week, I'll buy $100,000 worth of crypto straight up. Whatever one you want to buy. So
All right.
it might be possible this could get pushed against all our channels, and next thing you know, we got a silver play button by this time
Yeah,
next week.
that's gonna be a tall ask.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Are we the 4 horsemen of YouTube, or are we the 4 Power Rangers? Somebody just said that in the comments, and it's like, what?
That's hilarious.
So what do you? I want to know this. So I think this is an interesting question. What do y'all see for the next 5 years? Do you think, we're gonna have this big market pullback coming, real estate stocks that we keep hearing about all the time, or is this just gonna be literally buy as much as you freaking can, keep trickling in? Graham, I think you say you basically try to dollar cost average in every day.
Right.
You're the one who made the video about lump sum investing, and you can dump it all in at one time. But you don't do it. You put a little bit in every day, which I get. I think
Well,
they're better.
I would only argue that I have a big tax bill coming up, and I like keeping money on the side for an opportunity. I feel like you never know, at least in my position, you never know where there might be this incredible opportunity where I just wish I had some money sitting on the side. So there's certainly an opportunity cost of that, and I acknowledge that. But every day, I would say I'm doing maybe like between us, probably like, well, it's not between us, between everyone watching, it's usually between like 5 and 15,000 a day that I'll just be consistently buying in. And I have fun with it. Every morning I wake up and I just will buy, and it just gives me something to do every morning.
It's not a bad routine to have. I wake up, make my coffee, and put 15 grand into the stock market.
As you do.
Graham's like, I have to waste 10% of my AdSense for today on stocks. Oh God.
You know what's crazy though? Like all of these smart money hedge fund managers, it's almost like everywhere I look, they're all talking about these bubbles and like all of
Yeah.
these things. It's like these, shadow of clouds over us, and I don't know what to believe, honestly. It seems like we've hit this like new stride of meme investing, and I don't know how long it's gonna last, but it feels like all of this is so irrational. I just don't see it continuing. But just like all irrational
Yeah.
is they last longer than you think they do or they would. But I don't know, call me crazy. I just still feel like the effects of the pandemic
Sorry, real quick. Recording break. Gotta take a quick little break.
have not been fully felt yet. And I maybe I'm not intelligent enough to like quantify all the things that are responsible for that, but
It's
I don't know.
because
With
it's
the job
not quite
situation,
logical. And there's
say-
so much, it's difficult because it's not like a logical thing. And there's
Right.
so much money that's been introduced to the economy and it's going somewhere. And I feel like a lot of the money is going in asset prices. And right now, like if you want to make money, it's gotta be in the stock market. It's gotta be in real estate. It's gotta be in Bitcoin. You're not making money anymore on treasuries or saving or anything. So I feel like a lot of that money is pumped into the market. And especially if we have another $1 trillion stimulus package, I feel like that again is going to be a bullish that could boost the stock market another 10, 15%.
Oh, I don't doubt that the prices of all assets are going to continue to go up for years and years. It's just like as far as the fundamentals of what's going on in the economy, I really don't think we're through the whole pandemic. Like I think the worst is I think the wave or like the ocean is left, and there's like a tidal wave coming and like there's no water. It's just sand. And everyone's like, "This is great. This is a very sunny day." And I'm just like, "I don't know. Something's
Wow.
on the horizon.
In
I don't know
order-
what it is. I don't know what it's going to trigger it. I don't know what's going to happen. But it seems like this whole job situation, like a lot of people with all of this tech displacement, all these automation of jobs in combination with the pandemic and how many people lost their jobs. I don't know. Like in the future, the whole I don't know job situation, and although Kevin's the real estate guy, I don't know. But real estate, I don't see
Yeah.
that whole thing.
Cautiously optimistic. I think
I
that's
am
a good way to
cautiously
put it.
optimistic. Yeah, that's exactly right. Cautiously optimistic. So yeah, like I'm not saying sit out of the market and just like leave and wait because you're gonna get left behind. But I think that the worst is still ahead. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a gloom whatever predictor, but I don't think we're through yet.
In order to get the real estate market to crash and like stocks, you need a huge and the jobs market obviously is what controls almost everything, right? Specifically with the middle class. You really need like a huge contraction in the capital markets because that's really what triggered the massive recession in 08, 09. Capital just froze. And then if capital freezes, everything's going to drop. Stocks, real estate, jobs are going to be lost, which is going to cause a domino effect the wrong way, right? And so the question is, how and why would the capital market freeze up? Is there anything lurking out there that would cause it to freeze up? And then if there is, who's to say the Fed's not just going to step in and say, we're going to throw whatever amount of money at this? And that's what I try to think, because I agree, like, a lot of this doesn't make sense. But then it's like, well, if the capital just keeps flowing, businesses can keep expanding and those sorts of things.
I have another theory that I don't want to put like my tinfoil hat on here, but what you're saying I think is absolutely true. So here's what I think is going to happen. If I could really just make a stupid prediction that is probably not true, but hear me out. So what I think is happening right now is like, you're right, with the Fed and everyone printing money. Right now, we have never been in this scenario before where the current financial system that we have right now has an alternative. And that alternative is all these decentralized crypto assets and all these technologies that did not exist in 2008. And now that we have, like Congress and like all of these people that are running our country, they are old. They are ready to retire, if not already retired. They are also in a position of power to continue this game of musical chairs for as long as humanly possible, because it's in their best interest not to retire in a burnt down economy. So I feel like we will never see a crash because of those circumstances. They'll continue to just push it back and push it back for as long as possible, because if they ever were to let things just fall and just face reality, then guess what? When the system is rebuilt you will have an alternative. And the people that are at the top right now are not going to be at the top in this new world, because we have a new financial system that is being built right now that is not, it's not what we're using right now. We're using the traditional banking system. But now that we have all these decentralized currencies, we're going to get Coinbase or Gemini or whatever, these all their other entities, other businesses that are going to be replacing the current systems that we have today. So it's almost like I feel like they're not going to let go of that power, because they know that now we exist in a world where there's an alternative.
I feel
So
like
that's my crazy theory. I don't know if that's true. That's just my like hunch.
it could be fairly simple. We could start to see some inflation. They start ticking up interest rates a little bit to bring that down. That causes stocks to go down. Real estate gets more expensive. People stop buying. People lower prices to entice buyers to buy something. And as inflation maybe starts going up, interest rates continue going up, and maybe that just puts a damper on things.
Yeah, they'll continue experimenting with things like, oh, can we push the interest rates, whatever. But like, I just think that we may live now in a world where we will never see another crash, at least not anytime soon, because it's against the powers that be. It's totally against their interest right now.
Why aren't you all
does
in
not
then?
make sense. Why am I not all in?
Yeah, if that's the case.
Because I don't think I'm intelligent enough to know this for sure. This is just a hunch, which is weird because I'm so right on my hunches like my whole life. Not about finances or anything, but like I'm like every time I'm like, oh, you should just trust yourself more, dude. And like I'm just always scared to, and I don't act on my hunches. But that's my hunch, is like we're just not going to see a crash. It's going to continue to get pushed back, pumped more money into the system. Like, why would you want it to crash? Like, that would be terrible for the country. These people, these Congress people, are going to retire in a beaten down economy. They're going to have a horrible retirement. Like, why would they want to do that? They would never want to do that.
Hey,
And now there's alternatives. Like, come on.
since we're on conspiracy theories, here's another conspiracy theory. Okay.
I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. I
No,
think
no,
it's
okay. Wait, yeah, just like a theory. Let's just call it that. Okay. So
yeah.
here's another thing. Okay. This is stuff I would never talk about on my channel. But anyways, no. So obviously, you know, a lot of people out of work in this whole pandemic, right? Really ugly situation. You saw the stock market starting to collapse. So if you know, there's a lot of people out there that truly believe the markets are rigged and like the government or whoever is really controlling the market, right? So if you're in that mindset, it would make sense to have the market still be really strong while all this is going on, because you don't want complete disorder. And I mean, we saw what happened in the United States over the past year in terms of there was more disorder and craziness happening than ever before. If you had on top of that the market continuing to crash, real estate prices dropping through the floor, I mean, imagine what would have happened in this country if that was a scenario as well, right? And imagine if we were sitting at 30% or 40% unemployment right now. I mean, imagine what would be happening in this country. So it almost makes sense to kind of prop up things. Then when the actual underlying economy comes back strong, the market could actually start dropping into that. And it's kind of like the opposite. It's like, okay, the economy gets stronger. You think the market's going to keep going up, right? And then all of a sudden the market was dropping, even though the economy is coming back. Kind of like you would have figured like real estate prices would be down huge right now and the stock market would be down. So just a little different theory out there. You know, it's a little bit of a one, but
I don't think it's different. I think it's complementary to what I'm saying. I think that's what will inevitably happen at some point. I don't know if that's 2 years from now, if that's 5 years from now. I don't know, but I do think the stock market will be one of the first things to go. Just when we think everything's coming back, everything's great, the stock market's going to roar, everyone's doing great, and then just when you least expect it, because that's how it always goes down every single time. Just when you think everything is going to go this way, it's like Murphy's Law. It goes the exact opposite of what you think is going to happen.
That's why I always keep it up on the sidelines, that just in case something happens, you're going to be okay. You diversify, you get a little real estate, get a little stocks, get some crypto, get cash. And no matter what happens, you're going to have a little on the sidelines to buy in. And as long as, too, you have a stable income throughout the entire time, I think that's going to be the most important.
Yeah,
What
I think
cash positions are you guys in? Like, I feel like cash and margin positions. I feel like that almost kind of dictates your belief in terms of how soon the market might have an oopsies or how protected you're being.
I've always held on to too much cash, though. That's been my problem because historically, it's always been real estate for me. So I save up, wait for a deal, throw it all at a deal, and then save up again. But when I didn't really buy anything, and the place in Vegas, I got such a low down payment, I had a whole bunch of cash left over. Probably I'm holding too much cash, but buying in consistently in the stock market, and a big chunk of that's going to go to taxes in April.
Okay.
I'm at
Andre, cash?
I'm at like
Go ahead.
22% or 24% cash right now, so just like 54 million or so just in cash.
Yeah.
But
It's not
Jeremy,
really
has
anything.
margin.
Say what, Graham?
But you have 80% margin.
Yeah, exactly. 8,000% margin, actually. What about you, Andre?
No, I was just laughing because you're like, yeah, 2%, so 54 million cash. I'm like, oh, so basically Kevin. Yeah, no, dude, I had when Graham and I did our podcast together, I think I had 1,000,001 or 1.2 in my bank accounts.
Wow.
And after that point, I got as high as like 1.7 cash a couple months ago, and so a lot of that it went somewhere, which I'll reveal soon in my YouTube videos. And then the other half of that is going to be paid towards taxes. So after all is said and done, I'll probably have anywhere between 500,000 to 1,000,000, 500,000 to 800,000 to 1,000,000 maybe in cash. But I mean, like this year for me has been crazy, so that's why I'm not sure. Like these first few months of, I honestly thought this year, I was like, there's no way I will make more than $1 million like I did last year because the pandemic happened. You guys know, like everybody's just watching our channels, and I'm like, that was such a perfect storm. Like this is not going to happen again. And for whatever reason, this year has been like triple what it was for me last year, and it's like insane. I didn't think this would happen. So for all I know, I could again end up in the same cash position where I have too much cash, but I'm also like a super conservative guy, so yeah, I'm still dollar cost averaging, but yeah.
And none of you are on margin, right? I know, Jeremy,
I know.
sometimes you use it, but you don't have any outstanding, huh?
I think I bought something very recently, so I technically do have a little outstanding, but it's not that much.
Yeah, yeah. I think maybe my investing style just sort of aligns, kind of to throw my comment in there on the future of the market, kind of aligns with my vision of what I think is coming in the future. I personally think we're sitting at low to no inflation. We're gonna have these spikes of inflation, next few months when the economy opens up again. But Graham, you were talking about inflation might be the big catalyst for seeing rates move up and then a correction. I think maybe we'll see like a 2018 again in like 2024, which is where, okay, now we're going from 2% to 2.5%, and then the stock market has a hissy fit and gets pissed off, and then they're like, oh, okay, sorry, between really now and 2024, I don't know. I just don't see a catalyst for, we'll have little pullbacks, 10-15% here or there, little corrections, maybe 20%. Maybe do we see a 25-30% after rates start going up in 2024, 25, something like that. It gets obviously blurrier after that, but just for the next 3-4 years, I don't know that I see anything drastic. And so out of all of us, I'm at 20% margin, and I've pretty much just, I don't keep cash. I just, every time I get $1, it goes right into the market. I mean, the taxes I owe, that's just going to add to my margin. And I don't know. I think that just sort of aligns with.
How are you paying your taxes with margin? Are you just, because you're not able to write that off, correct? If you pay your taxes on margin.
Well, I mean, I write off the interest I can, yeah.
But
I don't
think you're able to. I could be wrong here, but I don't think you're able to write off interest on margin if you're not using it towards investing.
I'll have to look into that. But yeah, they did change rules on like, for example, with like home equity lines of credit, you can't write off interest anymore unless it's like for investing.
Look into it.
You're right about that.
I'm like 90% sure that you can't use margin to pay off taxes, but if you can, that's what I'm doing. So I would do that in a heartbeat. Schwab gave me, I think it was like 1.8% secured a pledged asset line at 1.8%. Right. That's a no-brainer.
It's free money. Well, and that's, I mean, I don't think there's a question of whether you can use margin to pay it. I think it's
I don't
whether
understand
that
that.
Write off,
interest is a tax write-off. Yeah,
Correct.
and I don't care because you're right. It's such a low interest rate. It doesn't even matter. And honestly, even and maybe I'm too aggressive, but on some of the recent purchases that I have, there's some construction loans on them, and I'm paying like 7% on some properties. I don't
Oh, wow.
care because I'm that money's just going into the stock market.
Right. How much do you have invested so far, did you say, Kevin?
I don't know. Do we want to go into that?
Yeah.
Is that, geez, that's when you know rich people problems. Oh, God. How long do you have? I love it. I love it.
I look at Kevin and I am just in awe. Like that
Yeah.
day when we were up like 700 grand, I'm sitting there and I'm like,
That's
what am I
crazy.
doing? What am I doing?
I mean, it's like I'm 5.2 in margin right now. I just paid off 600K because I sold some stocks. I think the portfolio is like 23.7 or something like that on stocks and crypto.
That's
But
crazy.
yeah, I mean, like I still get nervous because I've got a chunk in options, and if we get some short-term volatility, I just don't want to get margin called. That's the only thing I don't want. But otherwise, I'm just all in on this market. Like I'd rather be all in early than later. Has just been sort of my theory.
How much
Sure.
cash do you have, like in your account right now? Like all of your account, how much cash is there?
No, not much. I'll look right now.
Well, technically none, because you said you're 20% margin, right?
Well, I do have some cash just because I got to pay bills and money comes out and stuff like that.
I don't know how you like do that and sleep and like be totally. I would be so nervous with a family with not a lot of cash, like just in case something happens. Like,
Yeah.
oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here, so like, okay, so actually, I just pulled 200K on a line, and so that's part of this. But I think if I just
I thought you were gonna say I just pulled 200K profit after hours, guys. I was like,
Yeah, while we were talking, I just pulled 200K over there.
No, like I don't think this shows anything personal, but yeah, this right now is my JP Morgan, and it's so I actually have 400 in cash right now. But I mean, like, I'll just drop that down to the line, at some point here.
Kevin, you almost did 1 million points.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! Honestly, I don't even pay attention to them. I probably should. Just
You have
because
no
there's
idea.
no traveling, dude. There's no
This entire
traveling.
year, I've been trying to get to 1 million points, and I've gotten close to it. I'm at like 7 something, and I want to get 1 million so I can make a video on like 1 million points. You're almost there, man.
Yeah, that's wow. Okay, well, thanks for the video idea, dude.
hey, so here's a fun subject. Is there anything any of you guys are buying in the next 6 months that's kind of like a more extravagant expense that you haven't?
You're directed towards me.
Yeah, let's start with you, Kevin. We'll work our way around.
May as well just ask me directly. So yes, I'm looking at a Ford GT. It's a perfect investment. It's going to hold its value. And I think between the two, between holding cash in a bank account and between a Ford GT, I think the Ford GT is going to be a better use of capital over the next few years. And I could enjoy it. It'll look really great in the background. It looks cool. I could just stare at it all day. And that's good. I remember that when I was like 16 years old. That was like it was a Lotus Elise. And that for me was like the realistic sort of like dream car. Like the Lotus Elises were like 30 grand. So for me, I'm like, I would be able to make that happen. The Ford GT though, when you're 16, that was like my unbelievable dream car. Like the sort of car that you put on your phone background. And like that like one day you could dream about that. So I want to make that happen. So, and I think it's a good store of value. So I'm not going to lose any money on it. Because otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. If it was going to cost anything, it would be a no. But that's the only thing. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm getting somewhat serious about it.
Hey,
Well,
question before I get to the rest of you guys, as far as that question goes, when Enzo turns of age to go to prom, if we're still neighbors, you mind if he uses it?
Believe it or not. Okay, so one other thing I want to add on this. I was shopping around for car insurance, and 2 car insurance companies refused to cover me. I didn't realize this, but because I don't have any experience operating a high performance vehicle, They refuse to cover me. It doesn't matter that the car is owned outright. It doesn't matter that I've never, knock on wood, had an accident, no tickets, clean drive, nothing. They refuse to cover you because they want 1 year of experience driving a car like that. And apparently, I didn't know this. What most people do with cars like this is you work your way up with the insurance companies. Like you start off with like a $50,000 car, you get a $100,000 car, 150, and then by the time you get a Ford GT, you've already had the experience of driving it. Same with exotic car loans. I didn't realize this either. But beyond a certain point for loans, they want you to have experience borrowing higher amounts on specific cars.
Interesting.
The more you know. I did not know that until I started calling around insurance companies. But thankfully, I found 2 that would insure me. And one of them was a pretty good deal. It was like $1,500 for the year, but I'm limited to 1,000 miles, which I'm never going to drive the car anyway. It's you're supposed to just look at it.
That's not bad. 1,500 for the year. That's great.
Yeah.
So can you borrow it?
Wow.
That was
Yeah,
a
you avoided that.
answer. Jeremy, if you want to buy the car,
Oh, buy it. Okay, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
by all means.
So what about you, Andre and Kevin? You guys got any big expenses in the next 6 months? Something extravagant, out of the ordinary?
I just had one, so probably not one again unless God, I don't even know how to talk about it without revealing what it is. So I'm just not going to say anything. But yeah, I had one. Well, yeah, I did have one recently. And then the only splurge I would really want in the next like year or two is just to buy a Tesla. But I don't know which one yet. I don't know if like Corey and I want the Model Y because I think it's the most practical and the most like bang for your buck. But I also like I honestly put a deposit on the Cybertruck. It's only $100, like whatever. I could back out anytime. But I think the car that I would really want to get is the Roadster. That would be like my splurge.
You could put a down payment on that Roadster too.
What's up?
You can put a down payment on the Roadster too.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I should lease it or if I should buy it. Or I mean, if I lease it, I could just write it off or a part of it.
No, you would be able to buy it and write it off too. You just appreciate the car.
Right.
If this video hits 2,000 thumbs up, Andre buys a Roadster.
Crazy. I've been watching the subscriber count. For some reason, we dropped 1,500 subscribers instantly. It went up to like 6,700 subscribers and then dropped back down to like 52. It was weird.
Huh.
I don't know what happened. It might have been a glitch, or maybe YouTube was flagging. Like too many people were subscribing all at once, so it thought that like maybe it was a bot or something. I don't know. But if you're watching this and you're not already subscribed, you may as well subscribe. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Kevin, we want to hear your what are you splurging on? You bought that Roadster recently.
I did, yeah. So I got that. That was like $70K, which is a lot for a car, just because I just usually don't put money into cars. Sorry, Graham, but yeah, I think probably the next big thing for us is we got to get people to stop showing up at our house. So we really need to like buy like a large
Vegas
property somewhere. I'd love that. Texas,
Oh, you know, you
Vegas,
get a large
anything.
property in Vegas.
Develop in Texas.
No, and like even if out here, if we have to get what we want, we would even consider buying like a couple properties together next to each other, and then just put like Lauren's parents in one, and then take the fence down between, and have a really big yard. Or buy the house next to that and put my parents over there, and just have this like collage of homes. But otherwise, I just don't spend money. I mean, I'll buy the equipment for this area here, but that's it. The rest, it's just like I get excited about buying stocks. It's like it's toxic. I keep telling people like I got to go on a stock diet because my margin's getting too high. But then the next morning I'm like, oh, I'll put 30 into this.
Kevin, do you know the number or have a ballpark number in your head on if you had lived in Vegas this year with no state income tax versus California, how much extra money that would have been in your pocket?
Oh, I mean,
over
it
$1 million.
Shock me if it hit $1 million. Yeah.
Yeah, it's over $1 million, I imagine.
Tax-free too. Tax-free, $1 million tax-free. That's like $2 million. That's $2 million worth of income.
And with your margin, Kevin, that's really like 4 million. You could have more in stocks right now. Oh my!
Let's just keep rubbing it in like 10 different ways how much money he could save.
Wow. And if you make an extra 20% on that.
Yeah, think about the opportunity cost.
Wow.
Like,
Kevin, do you not care about money? Is that what it is? You don't care about it? Why do you hate money, Kevin?
I look, if it were just me, I'd move in a heartbeat. You know, it's tough. It's you know, Lauren really loves it here. She grew up out here. The weather's perfect for her, for you know what her desires are. She's out there with the kids all the time. So I'm in here. I'm in a studio that's 66 degrees all day long, every day. It's the same thing. Yeah, I got my air purifier. I got 3 air conditioners in here. You know, it doesn't matter where I am. But she doesn't care about that. She's like, I don't get that. You know?
Speaking of which, you know what? I just Jack was telling me this earlier. What's up, Jack? I know you're watching this. Logan Paul is moving to Puerto Rico.
Yeah, smart.
Of course,
Great content over there, and what 4.6% tax rate or something. So here I am paying 55%.
Doesn't it get down to like 2% in some cases if you have like employees there? I think it's like in the 2% range. It's crazy.
That's
no, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I was actually contemplating on doing that last year, and I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. It's like such a big lifestyle change.
That is a big move. LA to Vegas was an easy transition, but yeah, Puerto Rico, that's a big one.
Let's all go to Puerto Rico at the same time. That's what we'll do. We'll all move there.
If everyone moves to Puerto Rico, I'll move to Puerto Rico.
Okay. I want to ask you this. What do y'all think? Let's see. It's Wednesday. Okay, so 2 days left here in the week. Any big investments? Like if you had to place $100,000 tomorrow, how would you do it? Any way you want. Because earlier we did, you know, favorite stock if you could only pick one. How would you 100K tomorrow if you're like you got invested or it's gone, and let's say you have no money, like you literally have zero portfolio, but here's 100K, you gotta invest tomorrow.
I have an idea for me. You guys have one? All right, I'll just start. So this, I don't know if this is super helpful, but for BlockFi. So if you guys are familiar with BlockFi, the digital currency savings account, they actually offered me like private equity or to be a private equity investor with them. So it kind of like sparked an idea where you have these crypto companies, which is actually what my video is going to be on Friday, about like the best blockchain stocks, because it seems like, while we don't know the future of crypto, we don't know which of these coins are going to be like the biggest ones. It seems like at least going with either blockchain stocks or these brokerages like a Coinbase or a Gemini, it's almost like a proxy for what we don't have, which is a crypto ETF. So it's like almost at that point, it doesn't even matter which crypto you buy. If you invest in a big brokerage like a Coinbase or a Gemini, it doesn't even matter at that point. So I wish I could say, like, if we had a Coinbase IPO, that's probably where I'd put it, like a crypto broker, something like that. I think those companies are going to go gangbusters when they IPO.
I got to know, though, I mean, aren't you nervous that you're over concentrating? I mean, you got big investments in crypto right now.
Yeah, it's so interesting, man. Every time I've met really successful, wealthy people, and you guys are all of those people, it seems like the majority of the wealth is concentrated in like one or two choices and decisions. And it's almost always overweight in some asset, or they had some big conviction in that one thing. They took a big risk and it paid off. And it seems like that's true with like you guys with Tesla and, you know,
confirmation bias, though. I bet there are a lot of people, a bit of a confirmation bias, though, because those are the people that you see where it's worked out really well for them. But I'm sure there's also a lot of people, too, who tried it, didn't do so well, but you never hear from those people.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The successful people that I've met, that's what I'm talking about, is like, it's almost like all of their success has almost been hinged upon one or two really strong convictions. So I don't know. I would probably go with something in the crypto space, like a Coinbase or something.
Are you going to do it?
I probably will. Yeah. I probably put at least 100 grand into Coinbase when it IPOs.
And what about the other one? How much would you put into that?
which one, BlockFi? I didn't put any money into it. I'm still debating if that's something I want to do because I've never done private equity. But yeah, I don't know. You got Graham has experience with this, so I'd like to know his thoughts about that.
I've enjoyed it. It's so much fun. I really like it. I really like being a part of the companies, and it's something I want to do a lot more of. And Kevin and I actually listened in on one the other day, and it's just interesting. It's fun. You get to feel like a like a Shark Tank. It's like, ooh, you got the money, and you want to figure out like where to put it and invest it. And it's just as much I think about the person as it is the business. Like sometimes
Yeah.
you really like the person, and it's so true. So I've had
Right.
some fun of that.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, it's kind of true. It's like this conviction that you have, and you're like, I know that, like, there's one thing I know, it's this, and you just
I think Kevin's felt that with Tesla.
yeah, it was a huge catalyst. So I don't know
By
what
the
about you
way,
guys.
I don't mean to change the subject, but on Clubhouse, I think it was last night or the night before I was on there. I'm spending my life on Clubhouse now, but
Dude, you're like there till 3 a.m.
dude, yeah, they had the Coinbase CEO on, and
No way.
yeah, more people ended up. Dude, he filled up the room. They expanded the room to 6,000 people, which was the biggest number in Clubhouse history. And then there were overflow rooms, and he had more people listening to him talk than actually Elon Musk did when Elon Musk went on Coinbase. It's the biggest so far. It's the biggest, most epic room they've had in Clubhouse yet. And I
So
was
were you in
enjoying.
that one? You were in that one?
Yeah, and it was good. It was a lot of like good business information about it and like how they've had to get through regulation and like, oh my gosh, just so much. And like, he was talking about the type of stuff he had to go through in terms of like when they were coming out and like having to try to play good sides with like politicians and like the state and governments and things like that. But then having like the people that are on the crypto side that are like believed like you're like the devil, you're centralized, you're not decentralized, and like trying to like play it on both sides. Like I'm a good guy, but no, I'm a bad guy, and it's just like it was really good, man. But anyways, I didn't mean to change the subject. So
What's Jeremy's splurge? That's cool.
oh shoot, man! I thought I was getting out of that. No, it is. I mean, there's a lot of them. No, I'm just kidding. There's just the Model S Plaid. That's the next one. I'm supposed
Oh, you
to
got that one. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's supposed to get it within the next couple of weeks. So
you're definitely gonna get a Roadster too, probably, right?
Yeah, but I don't even know if they're going to come out with the Roadster because the thing is, this S is so dang fast. Understand, like the Roadster's a 2-seater potential convertible, but I'm like, this S is going to be 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds. So I'm like, it's faster than pretty much any car out there. So I'm like, that's But yeah, anyways, that's my big splurge. I'm looking super forward to it.
That's fair.
Wow. Investing that 100K.
Investing the 100K, WBA or Dropbox is reporting earnings tomorrow. If Dropbox drops on earnings after the bell, 100K to Dropbox.
Oh, wow. So you concentrated. Wow. Okay. Graham?
So Jeremy's kind of a good example of that, though, right? Yeah, go ahead, Graham, sorry.
I don't know. What's the time frame of this?
Buy and hold.
What?
Buy and hold.
Buy and hold. 100K. It'd probably still be Google.
Bitcoin or Ethereum.
If I'm supposed to pick one investment.
Oh no, you could if you were to diversify it, that'd be an option too.
God, I'd probably put like $5,000 in Fisker. I remember that company back like 2011. I thought it was such a cool car. I looked at that in the Model S and I'm like, Fisker's gonna win. But just Tesla was just better technology. It was just a better car. And Fisker's caught on fire. But I loved the way Fisker looked, and I'm happy to see them come back. So I'd probably take a bit of a gamble on them.
I was a huge fan of them too. The front of the car looks like a mustache, though, to me, so I can't get over that.
I liked it. The cool little like this.
I don't know. It's like a Sir mustache. I'm just like, I can't unsee that.
I thought it was cool looking,
mustache.
and just the whole hood goes like down, and then you have the center console that runs through the middle of the car. I just thought it was neat.
Hey, do you guys think these other car manufacturers, do they really have a chance to compete against Tesla? I mean, Fisker, like,
not on the tech. I don't think so. But you know what? They will try.
If anyone, it's Dyson.
I think Apple has a shot.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's crazy. Yeah, it's gonna be a weird new world here going forward. Cryptocurrency, Robinhood, like you mentioned, Andre, the meme culture. I don't know. Is there any last things that we want to touch on?
Yeah, your 100 grand investment. Which one did you say you were gonna buy?
Oh, right. You know, if I was, I think it would depend how new I am. Like if I were a brand new investor, I would probably just pick like 4 different index funds or ETFs and put it in there. Because new investors, I think, can get spooked really quickly, and then they're like, "Oh my God, my 100 grand went down to 97. Like it takes me so long to earn that
Yeah, I've been
money.
watching stocks for
I'm
over
out,"
2
and then they
years.
sell, right? Where the
It's
fluctuations
crazy.
become much more painful the newer you are, or they are much more painful the newer that you are. Me today, 100 cat, I'd probably throw it into like just like my top 6 or 7 stocks, something like that. You know, it'd be like the Tesla, Etsy, the EXPI, you know, the CCAV, just kind of spread them out
Right.
to my 5 to 8 high conviction stocks.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
We should probably also make the announcement that from now on, when are we doing this? Every Tuesday?
Tuesdays,
From
yeah.
6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time until around 7.
7.
Get an hour, give or take, every Tuesday. So
Actually, we want to make this interactive too at some point. So maybe we should open it up for questions, or maybe at some point that's something we should integrate too. That'd be fun.
I think we should. About to get dinner shortly, so
Yeah, especially if we don't have like that many subjects to go off of. Like, you know, there's going to be certain weeks when we'll probably have like, you know, a list of stuff to discuss, like big stuff going on. And other times it's not going to be that much. So those times we could just do a lot of Q&A, I'm figuring. So
yeah. Okay. Well, that sounds awesome. Oh, we should do Clubhouse too. We should stream this to Clubhouse. That's what we should have done. We totally didn't do that.
Forgot about that.
Oh, where we just put us into a room, basically.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then I suppose we could pull somebody up on stage and stream the audio to this as well.
Yep.
That'd be cool.
I could do that.
Let's do that.
I like it. Next time we'll do it on
Kevin's like,
Clubhouse.
I'll press this button and done.
Boom. Yeah, I actually have it up right now. Boom. That's funny. Wow. Okay, guys. Well, I think this was fun. This was a really cool number one. I think this is a good spot to wrap it up on. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Of course, subscribe and share. You guys want to intro or do a little exit? Oh, we should probably say I'm Meet Kevin on YouTube, and in the event that you don't know who I am, the link is in the description. Of course, on to you.
That didn't happen.
I'm Andre Jick, and yeah, my link's down in the description. I do magic and cool stuff. Like, just come and watch my videos.
Yeah, guys, make sure to subscribe. If you're watching this before you leave, because otherwise, what's going to happen? You're going to forget. You're going to forget that we're streaming on Tuesdays, and it's going to pass by you, and then it's going to be Wednesday, and you will have forgotten about it. So make sure to subscribe. Hit the notification.
Hit the bell button. Yep.
What's up?
Hit the bell button.
Yeah, hit the notification bell so YouTube notifies you anytime we go live. And I'm Graham, Vegas Andre.
No, the guy below me is LA Andre. I'm Vegas Andre. Thanks for having us, you guys. That was super fun. We'll see you next week on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time.
Boom. All right, guys. I'll see you.
Okay, I've been Zoomers React. I'm gonna hop into this next video and start recording it right after I post this one. Thanks for watching. Smash that like button. Leave a comment down below. Like and subscribe. Later. Love y'all.